and welcome to another episode of Clean Talk. I'm your host, Brad Whitchurch. Today is Wednesday, January 4th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and that means we are coming to you live from the Seal Shield Studios in beautiful, sunny downtown Orlando, Florida. Happy New Year to everyone. Starting off 2023 with a bang. Very excited to have my guest today, my friend and co-worker, Bradford Smith. He's the regional sales director for Seal Shield. And Bradford, we're excited to have you on Clean Talk today.
Awesome, Brad. Thank you so much for having me here today. Excited to be a part of this conversation.
Well, we appreciate you being here as well. And why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and why you're on Clean Talk today?
Absolutely. Thank you again, Brad. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bradford Smith. I'm the regional sales director for the West Coast here at Seal Shield. Been a part of this incredible company for about 9 years now, and it's been quite the journey. Started off as an inside sales rep in our Orlando office, eventually made it up to a territory manager, and now regional sales director of the West Coast.
Well, it's been impressive to watch your growth and development, and we're certainly very happy to have you as a member of the organization. You've been with Seal Shield for a long time, so you've seen a lot of the things along the way. We like to have fun here. We work hard and we play hard. In your time at Seal Shield, Bradford, what's been your favorite Seal Shield event?
Oh my gosh, to pick just one is almost impossible, but I'll tell you something we do every year, which is getting the team together at the Orlando Magic games, when the whole company comes together, especially the holiday parties, when everyone gets to dress up in their beautiful, ugly sweaters and have a great team building experience at those Orlando Magic games. Always one of my favorite events here at Seal Shield.
Well, that is a lot of fun, Bradford, but you might be in trouble because you didn't say the Seal Shield cruise where you met your wife. So I think you might have to answer for that when you get home, but I thought that would surely be your first choice. And congratulations to Bradford about expecting his first child, a baby boy on the way. So congratulations.
Hey, thank you, Brad. Well, that is definitely the best experience was that cruise meeting my wife. I love you, Alex.
Well, let's move on to maybe some of our audience doesn't know much about Seal Shield. We don't talk much about Seal Shield on this show. Our platform is around infection prevention. And of course, Seal Shield is an infection prevention company, and we're focused on developing technologies that can help reduce the risk of cross-contamination infections, primarily in healthcare. What can you tell us about Seal Shield and what Seal Shield is doing in the marketplace?
Absolutely. We're doing a ton in the marketplace, but a little bit about Seal Shield, backing up back to 2006. We created the world's first dishwasher-safe computer keyboard. And that all came about when the study came out that 1 in 4 keyboards in a hospital had MRSA on the surface, which is a terrible superbug and a big problem with hospitals for hospital-acquired infections. Since 2006, we've developed a whole breadth of products from washable computer peripherals, keyboards, mice. We have a screen protector line, which is incredible. I'd love to talk a little more about that. And then we also have the state-of-the-art, the ElectroClave, which is a UVC disinfection system for mobile electronics like tablets, smartphones, and all sorts of communication devices.
Well, so lots of solutions for healthcare to help reduce the risk of cross-contamination infections. I'd like to talk a little bit about those products with you, Bradford. Of course, you mentioned that Seal Shield developed the world's first dishwasher-safe keyboard, and those keyboards and mice are still a big part of what we do here at Seal Shield. Is it just one keyboard and mouse? What can you tell us about that product line?
Absolutely. There's actually several different styles of keyboards and mice. What we realized over the past 15, 16, 17 years is it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. There's a lot of different sized carts, workstations, reception areas. There's a lot of different areas in hospitals that use these peripherals. And we found out not a typical ABS plastic keyboard is going to work everywhere in the hospital. There's some areas like the operating room and the emergency room that utilize a fully sealed silicone keyboard. Again, fully sealed silicone. And then we have sort of a hybrid style as well. It's called the Clean Wipe, and the predecessor is the Clean Wipe Pro, which is a very exciting keyboard we just came out with. But those are really popular on carts on wheels, carts that are going from room to room, just because of the small form factor. It's easy to clean with a quick wipe across the top. You don't have to worry about getting in the cracks and crevices. And that's our Clean Wipe series, kind of a hybrid. And then if you're doing a lot of data entry at some nurse stations where you're typing a lot of notes, we do have your true ABS, typical, I like to call it the IBM style keyboard. That's used in a lot of areas around the facilities.
So all of these products, though, are what makes them special is they're all washable, right?
Correct.
All right. So, and they can be cleaned with healthcare grade disinfectants.
Yep.
They're even submersible.
Yeah. Any abrasive disinfectants, whether it's bleach wipes, sprays, hydrogen peroxide, alcohol, no restrictions on what you can disinfect our computer peripherals with. Again, sprays, wipes, you can fully submerge it in a tub of bleach as well if you want to.
So, which good for C. diff, right? So in vegetative state. And that's the purpose. So there's waterproof keyboards and mice that can be cleaned with healthcare grade disinfectants. But there's different styles of keyboards and mice depending on the application. Are all these products just going in specialized, highly infectious areas, or where do you see in a hospital setting Seal Shield keyboards and mice being deployed?
Well, definitely in those areas you see our peripherals, but they really can make sense anywhere in the hospital, from the reception desk to the patient room to a cart on wheels that's going from room to room to room. Our peripherals make sense everywhere. It's not like pathogens are only going to be in one specific area in the facility, in the hospital. They're everywhere. And how humans react, we're touching our mobile devices, we're touching things on the desk. We're big vectors for cross-contamination anywhere in the hospital. So our peripherals make sense that there's any workstation in the facility, a Seal Shield keyboard mouse would make a lot of sense.
And as you mentioned, I believe it was the Dr. Ratala, University of North Carolina study that as many as 25% of the keyboards in the hospital tested positive for MRSA. So it's a known cross-contamination point that Seal Shield is addressing with these products. And is it safe to say that these products are a standard in healthcare today?
Yes, I'd say about 70% of the hospitals across the country right now are utilizing Seal Shield peripherals in one way, shape, or form. A lot of facilities are standardized across every single workstation, every single cart with the Seal Shield keyboard and mice.
And is it just in the U.S.?
We are international as well. We have a huge presence internationally and as well as domestically, but we're all over the world.
So keyboards in multiple languages, primarily going into healthcare to help reduce the risk of cross-contamination infections. And the thing that I think hospitals love about this product, one of the things is that it really is a low-cost solution, right? So it's getting big ROI, a big return on your investment, because you're going to use a keyboard anyway. If you can get a keyboard that helps prevent known cross-contaminations, the keyboards are a recognized vector for cross-contamination, then what are these keyboards, priced at? Are they like priced at a regular keyboard? Are they thousands of dollars or?
Definitely not thousands of dollars. You can get our entry level right about the $60 price point, all the way up to we make, again, the fully sealed silicone versions I was talking about can be in the mid 100s, about $149 for a couple of the specialty keyboards we make. But yeah, totally affordable. And if you're thinking and you're just using your standard out of the box keyboard that isn't washable, waterproof, you're replacing that several times throughout the year, especially if your facility's cleaning it, spraying it, wiping it down. You're eventually going to ruin that peripheral. So with our peripherals, again, you can spray it, you can wash it, you can wipe it down, and we have an incredible 2-year warranty on all of our products.
Fantastic. Now, I know Seal Shield is best known for the washable keyboards and mice that we've been talking about. What can you tell us about some of the other products?
Yeah, so the keyboards and mice, again, the bread and butter of our company, how we started in 2006. We've come a long way since then. So we now have screen protectors for any touchscreen device, display, monitor that can be anywhere from a smartphone to a tablet to an operating room monitor that's 75 inches. We custom cut everything to ship out. So it doesn't matter whether it's a smartwatch, a tablet, smartphone, monitor, touchscreen, display, whatever it is in your facility, we can create a screen protector for it. And one of the biggest questions I'm always asked is, what's the effect going to be on the touch? There is no effect. We originally built these screen protectors for tablets, for smartphones, which obviously are all touch, and since have grown that to up to 75-inch monitors as well.
Well, so I think some people probably have to wrap their brain around this. There's a lot of screen protectors on the market, right? You can go on Amazon and buy screen protectors for most of those devices you mentioned, certainly tablets and smartphones. But the Seal Shield solution is custom cut to any device, as you mentioned. So up to a 75-inch monitor. You're not going to find that on Amazon. But besides the odd cuts or specialty custom cuts for various equipment, why does someone want a screen protector in healthcare?
Yeah, great question, Brad. So a screen protector in healthcare, especially a Seal Shield screen protector, is so important because just like our computer peripherals with the keyboards and mice, you can use any abrasive disinfectant right on these screen protectors. So if a hospital has a check-in station where the patients are walking in, filling out on a kiosk, typing in their information, you want to make sure that that risk for cross-contamination for the next person that's checking in is lower. So you can wipe down the screen with your bleach wipes, with your IPA alcohol wipes, whatever wipes or sprays your hospital is using, you can use that right on the screen and you're not going to damage it.
And you talked about chemical wipes and sprays to clean these devices. We're seeing more and more use of UVC disinfection, UV robots for whole room cleaning. If you're using a UV robot as opposed to maybe a chemical cleaner, do you need a screen protector?
Absolutely. So a lot of times with these whole room robots that have the monitors inside the rooms, whether it's an OR, ER, wherever the robot's disinfecting, you have to put a sheet over or turn the monitor up against the wall so the UV light can't hit it, or else it's going to actually damage the screen of the device. So just like you're able to use any abrasive disinfectants on our screen protector, it's also UV protected. So if you have a UV robot in the room, cleaning the room, you don't have to worry about flipping the monitor up against the wall or putting a sheet over it. You can actually just have our screen protector right on the screen, and it's not going to damage the screen when the robot's actively disinfecting a room.
So there have been some studies done. I know NIST did a complete report on UVC disinfection, and they found that UV devices can, in fact, damage OLED screens, right? And so you actually need a way to protect the internal components. And you're saying the screen protector is UV resistant and gives you that protection.
Absolutely. And it doesn't require you to have someone physically go into the room prior to the UV robot disinfecting the room and again, put a sheet over it or turn it up against the wall. You're saving time and saving a resource by just having our screen protector on the screen.
And as you mentioned, because they're custom cut to any size, we talked about you can go on Amazon and buy a screen protector for your tablet or smartphone, but what about for an infusion pump? I don't think there's a lot of screen protectors on Amazon for infusion pumps, and the touchscreen piece of the infusion pump is what needs to be cleaned. It can't be cleaned by the healthcare grade cleaners without damaging the equipment. And there's a host of products in healthcare that fall under that umbrella as well. So you have a product that allows healthcare products to be cleaned appropriately, whether using chemical disinfection or UV disinfection, and those screen protectors can be cut to fit essentially any piece of equipment in healthcare. Do I have that right?
You have that absolutely right. Okay. It doesn't have to be a monitor. It doesn't have to be a tablet or smartphone. If there's any screen that you're worried about disinfecting, we can custom cut a screen protector for that and stick it on there. And now you don't have any restrictions on what you can clean it with. On that point, one of the big asks that has been that's come to us is how do we protect our operating room lights that are getting banged into with IV poles or who knows what's hitting them, cracking them. If they're using a UV robot, the plastic's cracking on these screens. We can actually make a protector for the operating room lights as well. So that's something, again, that's not a screen protector necessarily what we originally made these for, but we've adapted and found out that we can make these protectors
for
the
same material, but just applied because they can be custom cut.
Exactly. So we can make it for an operating room light as well.
And who's doing that custom cutting?
We do that right in house. We do it in Jacksonville, Florida. We've got a beautiful facility out there, brand new facility, and we cut everything in house, made here in the USA, and able to ship out right on time.
Fantastic. Well, I want to talk more about the Seal Shield products, but first, we do have a question from one of our favorite guests, Oliver. Bradford, can you want to read that question that Oliver sent?
Yeah. How are the language layouts making worldwide distribution more difficult? What are the options? And how does this printing make the antimicrobial characteristics difficult to keep and not to diminish or harm them in the process?
Wow. Well, that's a loaded question, and maybe I can take part of that. Yeah, one of the challenges of being in the keyboard business is that there are multiple keyboard layouts, right? So it's not just one layout. There's an English American version, there's an English UK version, and we produce, I believe, 30 different global languages. So from an inventory management standpoint, that can be quite a challenge. SealShield has been very successful in the US by having a just-in-time delivery model for economical products, and that has been a challenge internationally. So I think in the future, what you'll see is more international facilities that can take the blank keyboards from our production facility and upgrade them to the appropriate language based on where they're going internationally. And I know our friend Oliver has talked to us a bit about that, and certainly within our plans, and looking forward to streamlining that international process for the keyboards this year. So we talked about the keyboards. We talked about the screen protectors. That screen protector sounds amazing. What else is SealShield doing?
So we also have an incredible product called the ElectroClave. Uses UVC LED, so it's not your mercury bulb. It uses an LED, and it's used to sanitize any mobile peripheral, your handhelds, your communication devices, such as Vocera badges that are communication devices for nurses, as well as tablets. So really any handheld that's, as you know, are huge vectors for cross-contamination. You dirty hands touch a dirty device, and now you're touching the patient. You're going all over the facility. So it's crucial to sanitize these mobile electronics, whether, again, communication devices, smartphones, tablets. It takes 60 seconds. And you're getting a 99.9% bacterial reduction on the surface of these devices.
And so a lot of people are using UVC for sanitization and disinfection. You mentioned that one of the unique characteristics of the ElectroClave is that it's using LEDs, light emitting diodes, as opposed to traditional bulbs or mercury bulbs. What's the benefit of that?
There's quite a few benefits of the LED. Number one is there's no yellowing on the device. Yellowing of the device, while you may think it might just be cosmetic, it's not. It's actually damaging the device and breaking down and making the plastics more brittle. So we've done some tests in the past. We did a test with Vocera quite a few years ago and came out after a 1-year study that there was 0% degradation on the Vocera badge. Just recently, something that's really exciting for SealShield is we just did a very extensive study with Zebra. Zebra, the communication devices, they have a ton of handheld devices that are very prevalent in hospitals. And they actually took it one step further and put the devices in a tumbler after testing with our ElectroClave and some of the other mercury devices on the market. And what came about that was huge for the ElectroClave. Even with a tumbling test after a year's worth of disinfection cycles, there is 0% degradation on the device that was used in the ElectroClave. And even in the tumbler, it didn't break down the plastics and it didn't make them weaker. On the other hand, with the mercury bulbs that are incredibly popular in the market right now, those had the plastic broke down, it was weaker, and the tumbling test proved that there was actually damage to those devices due to the mercury bulbs.
Well, this brings up a point that I think not a lot of people realize. UVC disinfection and sanitization has become very much in vogue. UV robots are being used, UV device disinfection, and most of those devices use, as you mentioned, mercury bulbs. They're low cost. They generate a broad spectrum. But what we have found now, and the studies show this, is that the broad spectrum UV radiation causes material degradation, as you mentioned. Yep. And what's really bad about this is that you are implementing a UV solution for a disinfection protocol, but that material degradation is actually creating micro fissures in the material that become a harbor for bacteria and viruses. So you've taken the step to try and have a disinfection solution that in the long run is actually making the situation worse. Whereas with the LEDs, it's a very narrow bandwidth of UVC light, only in the efficacious range.
Yep.
And it eliminates that material damaging part of the spectrum. So you're getting the kill rates without killing the product.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand that not all UV is the same. And it's not just that it's damaging it and discoloring it, it's that it's actually making it more of a harbor for bacteria and viruses. Whereas the ElectroClave with the UVC LEDs, which generate no heat, virtually no power, they're extremely efficacious and they're not going to cause material degradation. And as you mentioned, these mobile devices, some people, Bradford, say that the cell phone is the most dangerous device in healthcare because it's going to places in the hospital that other devices just don't go. It's traveling to every corner of the facility. And in doing so, it's transferring whatever germs are on that device along with it. And that's why more and more facilities are looking at device disinfection and looking at UVC light as an option for that. Well, that's fantastic. So anything else you can tell us about Seal Shield and Seal Shield's products? I think that was a pretty good summary.
I think so as well. Well, again, we have the computer peripherals, our screen protector line, and UVC disinfection utilizing the LEDs.
Fantastic. Now, I know you've been with Seal Shield for almost 9 years now, and you're a regional sales director, so you're running much of the sales and marketing activity. What kind of things do you do on a daily basis? How are you evangelizing Seal Shield's products to a healthcare market that needs this type of equipment?
Yeah, we utilize a ton of healthcare-focused trade shows that we partake in throughout the year. It's typically 1 or 2 a quarter that we'll send the team out to have some great representation for Seal Shield. But what's great about these shows, specifically the HIMSS, we'll start in a couple of my favorite ones, if you don't mind. So HIMSS is one of my favorite trade shows. We bring the whole team there. It's a healthcare, IT, and informatics focused trade show. So you're talking to a lot of IT end users, which is great to get in front of the hospitals. And aside from HIMSS, we've got APIC, which is the Association for Professionals in Infection Control, which is great. So we get the IT side from HIMSS, but then we get to go and focus and talk to the infection control specialists, the infection preventionists at these hospitals, that this is their daily job to make sure that we're preventing infections in our hospital. So to get to talk to them is great because you get to get in front of them. It's not really your typical infection control product, but for them to see, wow, there's a washable computer peripheral. I walked around my hospital last week and our computers had a bunch of white smudge all over it because of the bleach wipes we're using, and it looks terrible. A lot of folks don't know that we could be out there. So it's great to get in front of them from the APIC show. And
APIC in Orlando this year? Is that a home game for us?
APIC is right up the street from the office in Orlando this year. So we can't wait for that show. It's going to be a home game for us. The last show that we do, so we meet with the infection controls at APIC, but at AORN, it's the OR nurses. So it's a lot of these nurses that are actually using our products on a day-to-day basis. So they are familiar with Seal Shield, and just getting in front of them and showing them the new technologies is something that we've really found a lot of success and ROI out of.
Fantastic. And I know a lot of technology developers that we feature on this show. We've been able to collaborate with them at some of these shows. And in fact, I believe at HIMSS, we will be filming Clean Talk live from the trade show. So looking forward to that. And of course, as we mentioned, APIC going to be here in Orlando, Florida this year. That's always a great show. Any tips or tricks for our fellow innovators in participating with trade shows? Anything you can share with the audience?
Yeah, I think number one, always bring the energy at these trade shows. It's a long day for everyone. They're long days standing on your feet. So make sure you're passionate about the product you're talking about. But something I like to do is look at an attendees list and really kind of focus on who do I want to see? Who do I want to talk to? And really make that a focus at these shows and at these trade shows to really find the Brad Whitchurch that I had highlighted on my list and really make that pitch count when you meet with them.
So pre-planning and then I assume post-show follow-up is key as well.
Of course. That's the number one thing is following up. The last thing you want to do is have some great conversations and then, you never talk to them again.
So you need a pre-show game plan, you need your game plan, and then you need your post-show game plan.
Correct.
And Absolutely. If you execute, then these shows are just a fantastic way to collaborate with like-minded folks. And of course, our platform is infection prevention, and we look forward to participating in the host of trade shows here in 2023. Bradford, as an infection control podcast, inevitably we come to the discussion of COVID. What has been the impact of COVID at Seal Shield, on Seal Shield's business and the way you operate every day?
Yeah, COVID opened up a lot of doors, and I don't want to necessarily call it panic buying, but there was a lot of folks that started to pick up the phone calls a lot more and say, oh my gosh, we do have a problem with infection prevention, or we do have a problem with infection control, or what can we do to mitigate the risk of COVID at our facilities? So those 2 years of the peak pandemic were 2 really good years for Seal Shield. This year, I think it's been, I don't want to say difficult. We're dealing with somewhat of a recession right now. So money going out from hospitals is certainly under a microscope, a lot more than it was during the peak of the pandemic, when facilities were doing anything to get their hands on anything infection prevention related. So now it's definitely getting to the point that it's dollars out the door that are really getting focused on. But we've got a solution that makes a lot of sense, and I don't think we're going to get much pushback from it.
And of course, healthcare is really the low-hanging fruit, and I'm sure our audience is all familiar with the statistics, the number of people that are the victims of a hospital-acquired infection, and how many of those are preventable. But is healthcare the only market for these products?
No, it's not. It's a major market for us, as we've discussed. But we've got companies, especially since the pandemic came about, Walmart auto care centers. About 2,000 of them across our country are using our Clean Wipe keyboard at their auto care center kiosks. That's because not only do they want to reduce the risk of cross-contamination for their employees, but also, you're walking up there with grease on your hands. You want to make sure that you have a peripheral that you're able to wipe down and wash. So that's huge. We also have a great company called Panera Bread that uses our screen protectors on every single one of their self-order kiosks. When you walk in to order, you have one of our Seal Shield screen protectors on it, because they don't want folks walking in there with who knows what on their hands and not be able to clean their kiosks. So one of our screen protectors on the kiosk, they go in there every couple of hours and clean the screen between customers. So definitely not only healthcare, we make sense in a lot of different verticals as well.
Food service, automotive, so a lot of other opportunities. And you said a lot of that came about as a result of the pandemic, these other verticals.
Yep. Yeah. Our phones started ringing, and a couple of these conversations were right before the pandemic happened. The pandemic happened and the phone rang almost on March 2nd. The phone is ringing. So
well, we love Panera. Shout out to Panera for doing the right thing. We had Panera for lunch today. It was delicious as always. We do have what's that?
Yes, I love that macaroni.
There you go. We do have another question. Derek Diaz writes, how is Seal Shield doing with the ongoing supply chain concerns in the market? Is it affecting Seal Shield's ability to get products to customers? And I'll take that one for you, Derek. The answer is no, it is not affecting us. Early on during the COVID pandemic, we increased production and we secured some hard to get components or short life components. And so we've really been in a strong position throughout the pandemic and still today. So we have plenty of products in stock. So if you're interested in evaluating or using some of these Seal Shield products that Bradford has talked to us about today, they are readily available and widely distributed and can be purchased from wherever you buy IT or healthcare infection control products. Bradford, I really appreciate you being on the show today. This has been a lot of fun. My name's Brad Whitchurch. You've been watching Clean Talk. We're coming to you live from Orlando, Florida. It's been a great conversation with my guest, Bradford Smith. And this is your host, Brad Whitchurch, reminding you till next time, keep it clean.